Okay, hi guys. In this video, I am just going to show you how to make a stock solution that we could use in a titration as our known solution. So we want to know exactly how much of each thing we're putting in there. So we've got our volumetric flask. Okay, and so we will use that to make 250 mils. If you want to make 500, you get a 500 one. If you want to make less, you get less. But we're going to make 250 mils. We have our distilled water, okay, so that we can be sure that we're not adding anything else. A funnel, okay, a watch glass, a balance, okay, our product, and our spatula, okay. I'm making the assumption you have washed all of these things so that they're clean, okay, and that any residue in here is just distilled water, okay, which is fine because we're going to be adding distilled water. So first thing we probably want to do, okay, is get some distilled water into our volumetric flask here, okay. We can fill it kind of about halfway. Okay, just carefully pouring in there. That's a little bit over halfway, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, we don't want to fill it all the way up because we want to make sure that we can wash any of this. Now, I'm going to be wanting to make a 0.1 mole per liter solution of this sodium bicarbonate is what I'm using. Okay. And so I've just got my spatula here. I've got my watch glass here on top of my balance. Okay, I've made sure I've zeroed it. Okay, my balance isn't super accurate. Okay, so I'm not going to be super accurate in this experiment, but all right, I can still do the practice and do a reasonable job. So here I want 0.1 mole of a solution. So I'm going to put on 2.1 grams. So I've done my calculation. I've worked out if I want a 0.1 mole per liter solution. All right, worked out my molar mass, and I'm going to put this here. Okay, and I have 2.1. Okay, you can't quite see it on my balance, but I'm reading it here. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make sure I get all of this into there. So I've got this. I'm going to carefully lift this up. All right, I have my funnel on here because it's going to make my life easier. And I can just carefully tip that in there. Okay, and then I got my distilled water here, and I just very carefully, make sure that's screwed on properly, very carefully here, just wash any residue that is on there into the flask. And it doesn't really matter because I'm using distilled water, and distilled water is what's going in there. Okay, and then just lift this up. That's going to fall in there. Okay, and then again I just keep rinsing. This is why we didn't want to overfill our thing. Rinse, rinse, rinse. Okay, all right, once I'm pretty happy that I've got everything out of there, I take that out so it doesn't mess my thing up. And then it's probably hard to see on the video, but there is a very distinct line here, and I'm going to want to measure to the bottom of my meniscus. Okay, so just carefully going to add, all right, my water here, add, and I'm going to want to slow down as I approach. All right, if you're careful, right, and I'm want to get down to the nice eye height here. Okay. I gotta fill that up until the bottom of the meniscus meets this line. Nailed it. Okay. Now, all I need to do now, put a flask on this, mix it up, and then it is ready to go. I also want to make sure that I label it. All right, so this is going to be Mr. Engel, or Mr. E, all right, 0.1 mole per liter of sodium hydrogen carbonate.
Right? Okay, and then I should also put the date on it, which today is 11/28. All right, so that I know all of those things, all right, and no one is going to steal my thing. All right, that's basically how we do it. Doesn't take too long, and that's how it's done. And then I can use that once I've shaken it up, once everything's dissolved. All right, I can use that in my titration later. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.